10 live championship games here on TV3. Hello and good afternoon. We've got a potential classic on our hands here today, and with me in studio to provide their insight and analysis are Eugene McGee, Peter Canavan and Senan Connell. And if I can start with you, Peter, we've already seen Tyrone in action, the defending champions. We've seen a good National League this year. What do you expect now? What do you expect for Tyrone's chances of regaining the All-Ireland Championship?
Well, we got off to a very good start last week against our nearest and dearest rivals, Armagh. And I thought they played actually below par. There's a lot more in that Tyrone team, and the faces.
Fills in for the injured Kieran Donaghy at number 14, flanked by Colm Cooper and team captain Darren O'Sullivan. Cork manager Conor Coonahan has made one change to the team that beat Waterford.
Okay, so those are the teams for today's game, but we're going to have a look now at the head-to-heads across the two teams.
To aid recovery and of course the fact that during the whole redevelopment the pitch wasn't used. The pitch is in magnificent condition.
So the eyes of the nation trained on the Munster Championship. Here we go again. Cork will play from left to right in the opening half, playing into the town goal here in Killarney, and a gentle breeze fluttering at their back. Here's Canty, first chance for the Cork captain, fisting high and over the bar. What a start for Cork.
Great start. I think that was straight off the training ground. They expected to win the throw-in. Graham Canty was past the midfield when they won the throw-in and wasn't picked up by the defender. Had a clear run in and goal, and a great start for Cork.
Well, Canty, one of that midfield diamond of Canty, O'Connor, Murphy and O'Neill, attacking right from the throw-in. And Cork are out in front. Here's Paul Galvin, scavenging around the centre, looking for breaking ball. Also looking for Cooper, beaten to that first ball though by Anthony Lynch. So many times they've hopped off one another in that corner. To the wing to John Miskela. Back in the Cork team again and enjoying every moment of it. This is Patrick Kelly, his first start. Lofting it in. Well read by Donaghy O'Connor. There was a little tug on the jersey. Well spotted by the referee, Maurice Deegan. But Cork moving the ball around with pace and confidence early on.
Yes, and the last thing Cork or Kerry defenders want to do at this stage is to give away frees when you have two recognised and really high quality free takers in Donaghy O'Connor at 15 and Daniel Goulding at 13. So the Kerry defence will have to be much more disciplined than they have been at this start.
Well, Donaghy O'Connor hit a goal and 5 points against Waterford 2 weeks ago. And this, a nice handy one to start in the Munster semi-final. Nicely done. Cork doubled their lead and they've settled very quickly. So now all eyes will focus on Diarmuid Murphy's kick out, trying to keep it away from the big men, looking to hit Aidan O'Mahony, but screwed off his boot. And a line ball to Cork and Patrick Kelly. Again, O'Connor is the intended target. Just switching corners, keeping Mark O'Shea on his toes. But O'Connor was just hanging out of Mark O'Shea.
Yeah, and already a couple of positional switches in the Kerry forward line. Declan O'Sullivan has gone into corner forward, Darren O'Sullivan out in the wing, and Donaghy Walsh has gone to centre half forward, marking Graham Canty.
Free to Kerry again, Nicholas Murphy. And as Paul said there, the fact that Declan O'Sullivan is just sitting on the tip of that full forward line gives it a triangular look with Tommy Welch and Colm Cooper in there around the house. This is Ty Kennelly. Kerry playing possession football, and now Paul Galvin scanning the horizon, looking for Cooper and Walsh. It all opened up and Galvin decides to carry. There's that diagonal ball, the kind of ball Cooper loves to get. He's got Anthony Lynch on the back foot, round the corner from Cooper. It's not going to carry. And the Cork supporters like that. Wide on the right from Cooper, and the quick kick out taken very quickly. In fact, it was taken too quickly for the liking of the referee. Well, you would presume with the likes of 6'5" Alan O'Connor and his midfield partner 6'5" Nicholas Murphy, Cork would be prepared to take their chances with a big booming kick out, but Alan Quirk there just trying to get the game moving very quickly. Now for this kick out, O'Connor has pulled to the right touchline, Murphy to the left. Quirk ironically bangs it down the middle, flicked on by Murphy, who'd moved into position. Here's Paul Galvin again, in no hurry to give the ball away. Now Darren O'Sullivan. Kieran O'Connor tracking his run. O'Sullivan running into traffic, and that was good defending by Cork. Kieran O'Connor stayed with O'Sullivan every step of the way, and with a little bit of help from Ger Spillane, Cork have the free.
Yeah, very good defending there by Cork. It's clear from early on that the Kerry half-forward line are drifting out very close to midfield, leaving a huge gap inside for Declan O'Sullivan, Gooch and Tommy Walsh. And on that occasion they tried to run it through and lost possession, but I think if they kick into that space, it'll certainly pay dividends for them throughout this game.
Miskela again getting forward for Cork, and a little bit of spade work from Daniel Goulding wins a free. Well, Miskela may be wearing number 5, but he loves to get forward. Plays an awful lot of his football in the forward line, and his overlapping runs, I'm sure, will be a feature of this game. So a first shot at goal for Daniel Goulding from the Éire Oak Club, looking to extend the Cork lead. It had plenty of distance, but he just dragged it wide. Goulding just scored the one free against Waterford in Dungarvan 2 weeks ago, but a player with awesome potential. And at the moment, Cork playing an orthodox full forward line, keeping their danger men close to goal. Another breaking ball, and once again it was Paul Galvin, quickest to react. Also won a free for his trouble. He looks really pumped up for this match. His first championship start in pretty much 12 months since that infamous game against Clare in last year's Munster Championship. Another touch now for Tadhg Kennelly, getting more and more comfortable with the round ball, bringing Donncha Walsh into the game, and forward to Tommy Walsh, spinning away from big Michael Shields, but the presence of Shields enough to just knock Tommy Walsh off his stride there. Another wide for Kerry.
Yes, a bad miss from Tommy Walsh there, and just looking at Donncha Walsh playing at centre forward on Graham Canty, he's a worker, works very, very hard. That's probably the reason why he's there, but every time Kerry go down the middle, he's trying to bring Graham Cantry out of that centre-back position, trying to bring him over to the wing to leave that big space in front of the three Kerry full forward line.
Ger Spillane driving this ball in. He spotted the run of Donncha O'Connor, but just a little bit too much pace on that ball. But there again, Paul, we saw as soon as Alan Quirks gets his chance, that quick kick out, and they're away on a hack.
Yeah, what's been noticeable with Cork throughout the league campaign is that they've played out of defence at a much faster pace than they had in the previous years. Whenever a player in defence gets a ball, there are 2 or 3 players running past him at lightning pace. So obviously they're trying to work on that in the kickouts as well, give them an opportunity to bring the ball up the wings in particular.
Now Kerry go long and high. Tommy Walsh moving in underneath it, but batted away only as far as the waiting Declan O'Sullivan, bottled up. Now Darren O'Sullivan, a little bit of pace to get himself out of trouble. Tommy Walsh chipping it gently over the bar. Well, time just seemed to stand still for Tommy Walsh there when he took that pass. He wanted to make sure, and that he did.
Yeah, and again, Darren O'Sullivan, always when he wins ball, is always looking to go forward, has that pace, can suck in a defender, which he did on that occasion. Tommy Walsh just peeled off, was free to give him a little hand pass, but it looks as if Tommy has an ankle problem and seemed to be in some distress after he kicked that point.
Well, Tommy Walsh, of course, filling the number 14 jersey this afternoon in the absence of the injured Kieran Donaghy. Jack O'Connor and his selectors will be hoping Tommy Walsh jogs this off very quickly. He is quite literally the next big thing in Kerry football. Big hit by Galvin on Pearse O'Neill. It wasn't fair and square, and Cork get the free. Canty takes it, looking for Masters, trying to read the break. Beaten to it by Micheál Quirk, who just fired that ball out of there. Now Ty Kennelly trying to play a 1-2 with Quirk. It's all very tight. Now Mark O'Shea, the former footballer of the year, trying to buy himself some time, being hunted down by a couple of Cork men. The danger cleared eventually by Pádraig Reedy from Scartaglen. Darren O'Sullivan, he needed every inch of his pace to get to that ball. Into the line comes Paul Galvin, directing operations around the half-forward line, with Declan O'Sullivan playing much closer to goal. Tommy Walsh times his run. Back to Galvin once more, just one man, one Kerry man inside the 45, as Tommy Griffin breaks the line, leaves 2 or 3 players in his wake. Man on the overlap is Donncha Walsh. Chance for Kerry here. Walsh, can he finish? It's tight and it's over the bar. Well, once he stepped inside that last defender, he usually likes to have a shot on goal. He takes his point. The sides are level, but we have some activity on the Kerry bench, and it looks like much sooner than anticipated, Dara O'Shea is coming into the match, Paul.
Yes, Tommy Walsh looks in trouble. When he won that ball, he passed it off. I think it was to Tommy Griffin coming through, but his ankle or his leg is clearly bothering him, and it wouldn't surprise me if there's a change made at this stage. But that point was a lot of very good play prior to that point. Great work by the Cork forwards in putting pressure on the Kerry defence coming out the field.
Well, here come the cavalry. The man they call simply Dara in this part of the world is into the match after a little under 11 minutes. Tommy Walsh, help from the field, and a huge body blow for the Kerry forward line in particular.
Well, it is. It means they have no target man to kick the long diagonal high balls into, and it'll be a huge disappointment for Kerry and for Tommy Walsh in particular. Kerry now have 3 smaller players in the full forward line. It's going to be very similar to the Cork full forward line, so you expect to see a lot of low ball going into both lines from here on in.
Now Cork trying to get back in front. Their lead wiped out. Kerrigan to O'Neill. What a goal from Pearse O'Neill. He's done it again. Well, everybody, it seems, distracted by the arrival of Dara O'Shea. Nobody watching Pearse O'Neill.
Nobody watching Pearse O'Neill. A wonderful finish. He did it last year in the All-Ireland semi-final. He makes those scorching runs through the middle. Tommy Griffin had scored a great point for Kerry a few minutes ago, and Pearse O'Neill hadn't followed him. This time Tommy had to go to the player who was in possession with the ball, and he left Pearse O'Neill open then, and he finished with a plum. A fantastic goal, and really opens up this game.
Well, first blood to Cork. They went into a 2-point lead. It was wiped out. Now they lead by 3. Masters to Goulding. Goulding, he'll take his point. The confidence is high now. They're coming at Kerry in waves, and it's those mountains of men around the middle of the field that are giving them the platform.
That's right, and both sides have huge pace on their half-forward line, and most of the scores so far have come from late runs from the half-forward line or from the half-back line. Graham Canty has scored a point in the first minute of the game from centre-half back. Tommy Griffin has scored a point from centre-half back. So it's not the expected forwards, the expected players in the forward line that have got a lot of the scores so far. It's the late runs been made from those players in the half-forward line in defence.
Well, Dara O'Shea has gone into the middle of the field, and it looks like Ty Kennelly has moved to the half-forward line as Jack O'Connor tries to think on his feet and fix the problem that is the loss of Tommy Welch after less than 11 minutes. But the Kerry supporters here at Fitzgerald Stadium stunned into silence by that Pearse O'Neill goal. A crowd somewhere in the region of a little over 20,000 expected for the throw-in. And you could hear a pin drop on the Michael O'Connor terrace at the moment. Aidan O'Mahony fouled and wins a free. Asking a lot of Dara O'Shea. 15 years after he first pulled on that Kerry senior jersey, and here he is in the thick of things again. the meat in a Cork sandwich. And between Daniel Goulding and Donncha O'Connor, they've fouled the on Gaeltach's midfielder. Well, the referee's attention has been brought to something that's happened on the far side. Paul Galvin down on one knee. And it happened certainly off the ball and well out of pretty much everybody's line of sight, Paul.
Yeah, I saw the two players making a run down. I don't think there's too much in it. I don't think there was a fist thrown or anything like that, but perhaps there was a bit of a niggle, and certainly Paul Galvin looks to have got slightly winded at this stage of the game. But it's very interesting around the middle of the field in the first 10 minutes of this game how competitive it is, and how important it is for players to track the runners coming from deep. And I think both sides have had success in the first 14 minutes of this game so far from doing that. So I think both coaches will be getting messages out at this break and play to the various players to watch the runs from deep, to keep tracking those runs from deep.
Well, Maurice Deegan has just spoken with his linesman Michael McGann from Clare, and after that brief conversation, a yellow card for both Ger Spillane and Paul Galvin. So they will now have to be on their best behaviour with a little over a quarter of an hour gone. Galvin back in the thick of things straight away again. Such a dynamic player. To Declan O'Sullivan, first chance he's really had to get on the ball and try and make something happen. He's won a free. Such an intelligent footballer. Knew exactly what he was doing there. And this angle should suit Colm Cooper.
Yeah, that was a bad free to give away by Nicholas Murphy there. Declan O'Sullivan was under a lot of pressure, and he just came in and put his hand on his back. At any time a player will put his hand over the shoulder of the opposition player and touch him, the referee is going to give a free. So it's a relatively straightforward free for Colm Cooper.
Cooper's first chance to get his name on the score sheet, wide on his own side. Well, the first quarter here, pretty much everything's gone wrong that could go wrong for Kerry. They've lost Tommy Walsh, they've conceded a goal, and Colm Cooper has just kicked his second wide. Remember, it is their first championship match, their first competitive run out since the league final win over Derry. So there's bound to be a little bit of dirty petrol. Now Ty Kennelly striding forward. Man making the run inside is Donncha Walsh. Kennelly instead tries to chip it towards Declan O'Sullivan. It goes all the way to Cooper, trying to dodge his way through. Paul Galvin, tremendous block by Anthony Lynch. Falls to Darragh O'Shea. But a couple of Cork hands got on that ball. It took the sting out of the shot, and the chance was gone. Cork defending in packs. Paul Kerrigan dropping deep. The man from Nemo Rangers loves to carry that ball. Alan O'Connor. And now this is Patrick Kelly, the man from Ballincollig. His father, a native of Rathmore. Good play by Tom O'Sullivan. He and James Masters racing for that ball together. And O'Sullivan using all his experience to get there first and win the free.
Yeah, so far both defences playing really well. Cork, that last Kerry attack, had three players surrounding Darragh O'Shea as he was kicking the ball, dropped into the goalkeeper's hands. Great block by Anthony Lynch. Again, Mark O'Shea there getting out in front of James Masters. So defence is really tight on their game so far.
Again, John Miskela doing very well to get there and hold possession. But Maurice Deegan, I think, feels that it was 6-1 and half dozen the other. Miskela fouling the ball there. Well, after 18 minutes, Paul, I suppose as good a time as any to take stock. Cork with a 4-point lead, and Conor Coonahan, I presume, will be very pleased with how things have gone so far.
Yeah, I think he will. The game hasn't really opened up into a fast-paced, high-tempo game yet. I think both sides sussing each other out. very, very fit teams. Both teams very, very fit, very strong. Very little space in the forward line when the ball has been kicked in. And so far, obviously, the goal is the only major difference between them, and a wonderfully taken goal by Pierce O'Neill.
Well, very different emotions for Jack O'Connor and his backroom team. Ger O'Keefe and Eamon Fitzmaurice, his selectors. Jack O'Connor back on the sideline for a championship game today for the first time in nearly 3 years. As the play restarts with that hot ball. And all's well that ends well for Kerry. Here's Paul Galvin. Just zipping around that half-forward line, trying to get into the game. Manages to pick out Declan O'Sullivan. 2 men to his left. O'Sullivan will go it alone. Again, it's curling though, caught by the wind. Another wide for Kerry. They're getting closer and closer, but just not quite close enough.
Yes, and maybe it's the first game syndrome again. I noticed Declan O'Sullivan during the league campaign, I think he played 5 games. He only scored 3 points from playing those games. So finding the range for Kerry has been a problem in the first 20 minutes of this game. Gooch uncharacteristically missing a couple of relatively easy opportunities for a player of his standard. Declan O'Sullivan missing it narrowly, but you expect as the game goes on that forwards of that calibre will find the range.
Good kick out from Alan Quirk, looking for Alan O'Connor, and won eventually by Patrick Kelly. This is Miskela, the man who was part of the Irish compromise rules squad last year, holding his head and finding Canty. Lovely interplay from Cork as Michael Shields comes barreling down the middle. Just lost control of that ball. But when they get the chance, Cork like to commit bodies into attack. The likes of Canty, Spillane and even Shields, their fullback. As Kerry try to build from the back with Griffin. Donncha Walsh thought about the short pass. Again, nothing on. And now Ty Kennelly. Very little movement inside for Tomás O'Shea. Decides to put his head down and drive through the centre. Here's Quirk. Little look up, looking for Cooper, cut out back there by Spillane. It's almost like Cork have read the Kerry playbook. They were expecting that pass and they cut it out at their ease. And now they have possession once more.
Yeah, it's interesting. Kerry are playing it's a slow build-up, a lot of lateral hand passes around the centre of the field, and it's allowing Cork to get players behind the ball, so when they do deliver that kick, Cork have more defenders than Kerry forwards in that key defensive area.
Just 2 Kerry forwards inside the Cork half at this moment, as Kieran O'Connor, the man from Aghada, the same club as Conor Coonahan, goes for a little stroll for himself. Looking for Donncha O'Connor, but well read by Mark O'Shea. As always, his anticipation first class. Short to Tom O'Sullivan, and again, no pace really to this build-up. Darragh O'Shea's pass is poor, but that's because Maurice Deegan felt that Declan O'Sullivan was being held back by John Miskela. Yes, couldn't make the run, and we have a free.
Yeah, there was a clear tug on the jersey there from John Miskela as Declan O'Sullivan was about to make the run out. It was a good spot by the referee, Maurice Deegan.
Free quickly taken by O'Shea to Cooper, waiting patiently for the run of Darren O'Sullivan. There's that pace. Round Shields almost taken down. Well, that was very close to being inside the square. It's a 13-metre free to Kerry, and there's that blinding pace from Darren O'Sullivan.
Yeah, and he started on the wing half forward position, and he's getting onto a lot of ball, and he's certainly causing the Cork defence some trouble. He has that lightning pace. If he had got through there, he was clear on goal, so it was a professional foul by Michael Shields. Has given away a point, but there was certainly a goal on if he had got through.
So Colm Cooper does the needful. That's Kerry's first score for 13 minutes. Keeps them in touch. And now just that Pierce O'Neill goal between the teams. Not quite sure if Colm Cooper will remember his first score in this year's championship. It was nice and easy. Hit 219 throughout last summer. And in the absence of Tommy Walsh, he will need to score the bulk for Kerry again today, especially with Brian Sheehan also on the bench. Here's O'Neill taking the pass from Kelly, and for a big man, he made that look very easy. He had very little time in which to work with, but that snapshot just flew over the bar, and it all came from the run from Kelly.
That's right, and it was noticeable as well. James Master, I think, has won his first ball out in front of Tom O'Sullivan. It was the first time that he featured in the game, really, and hand passed the ball out, and a good finish from Pierce O'Neill. Having a fine game at centre-half forward.
Graham Canty, kick half blocked down by Donncha Walsh, but Paul Kerrigan read the break, trying to thread it through for James Masters, but again Tom O'Sullivan gets there first. Help arrives from Walsh again, and on his shoulder is Tomás O'Shea, that familiar swashbuckling run. The pass asking a lot of Paul Galvin, but he gets there. Support from Darragh O'Shea. And now Declan O'Sullivan. Again, just one Kerry player, that's Colm Cooper, inside, close to goal. Galvin trying to pick him out. Anthony Lynch playing from the front. And he's been around too long to be caught out by a ball like that. Here's Donncha O'Connor, wearing 15, but playing at left half back just now. This is Michael Shields, man who spent some time last year with Carlton in the Australian League. And now Ger Spillane. Nobody coming out to meet and greet. Spillane goes it alone. Well, he really should have done better, and Cork should now be ahead by 5.
Absolutely, I think Cork have learned from the way Tyrone have played Kerry last year's All-Ireland final in particular, where they're putting severe pressure on the Kerry kickers, the players who are trying to find those perfect passes to Gooch and to Declan O'Sullivan. There's extreme pressure being put on the kickers, and they turned over the ball there. Anthony Lynch went up the field, and interestingly enough, there were 3 of the Cork half-back lines, half-back line inside the Kerry 45 when Ger Spillane had that wide.
Well, there was no way we were going to miss that particular substitution. The 6'7" Michael Cusson has just been brought into the game by Cork. James Masters has gone off, and I presume, Paul Early, that will mean a fairly dramatic change to the Cork game plan.
Well, it certainly will. When you have a player of Michael Cusson's quality in there, he's able to catch ball in the air, he's very skillful, he's dynamic, and they'll certainly be kicking long ball in there, there's no doubt about that.
Well, 13 possessions for Paul Galvin, just underlining the kind of scavenging he's been doing in this first half, trying to get in on those breaks and set something in motion for Kerry. So far they've been hanging on to Cork's coattails. Now Declan O'Sullivan out in the half forward line, just for a little look. This is Donncha Walsh, again that familiar sidestep, trying to make an angle for himself. He struck that well. Fine score from Donncha Walsh. Does the unglamorous, unfashionable work, but does it very well, and leaves us with a 3-point game again.
Yeah, it's a wonderful point from Donncha Walsh. He kicked one earlier with his right foot, he's kicked another now with his left foot. He's been marked by Graham Canty, and this is a traditional performance from Donncha Walsh, if you like, because last year in the first half of the Munster final against Cork, he scored a tremendous goal, was one of Kerry's best players until he tired in the second half, but he's really put in a storming performance so far.
Ball broken away from Pierce O'Neill by Aidan O'Mahony, and Ty Kennelly carries it a little further. Here's Tommy Griffin, the man from Dingle. Galloping alongside is Darragh O'Shea. 34 years young, still going strong, looking for the score off the Kitog, and he has nailed it. An inspirational score from Darragh O'Shea. And now the Kerry supporters are back in full voice. It's a 2-point game.
Yes, a great score from Darragh, but again, Tommy Griffin making that run through the middle, wasn't picked up, was able to give a nice little pass out to Darragh, and on his left foot kicked a lovely point. That'll give him a big boost of confidence.
Well, Graham Canty has just been shown a yellow card for something that happened in that last passage of play. We were watching the 2 men from the Kerry Gaeltacht, Tommy Griffin and Darragh O'Shea, linking up before O'Shea fired over his first point. of Championship 2009. A little under 7 minutes to go in the first half, and Cork lead by 2. But this Championship match slowly but surely coming to life. Here's Paul Kerrigan, starting for Cork today for just the second time. Ger Spillane closed down very quickly by Paul Galvin. They have been each other's shadow since this game started. Space on the far side for Alan O'Connor. Telegraphed that pass though, and Donegal O'Connor, I think, telling him that, making Mark O'Shea look very good, and O'Shea doesn't need a second invitation to burst down the field. Here he is again. Men moving into the centre, one of them Declan O'Sullivan. O'Shea, lovely sidestep, and still he's going. Now can he finish? Darren O'Sullivan, he's gone down, it's a penalty. A penalty to Kerry. The push on Darren O'Sullivan, and he's down and staying down, and Cork are absolutely furious. But really, Paul, they should be furious with themselves. Mark O'Shea allowed to carry that ball from one end of the field to the other.
Yes, but that's the quality of Mark O'Shea again. You know, he did it a couple of years ago. I think it was against Armagh. If there's any doubt about that penalty, that was a clear penalty. He was pushed in the back as he was about to receive the ball. No doubt whatsoever about that. But Mark O'Shea, wonderful, wonderful player. The skill to be able to sell a dummy in the corner, another dummy, I think a solo dummy as well, and then to pass the ball into Darren O'Sullivan to create the opportunity. You know, a few years ago, cornerbacks probably wouldn't have had that level of skill, but now players all over the field, cornerbacks, fullbacks, centre-half backs, are expected to have the same level of skill and scoring potential or power as the forwards, and he certainly is one of the best in the game.
Well, Alan Quirk thought to protest too much. Yellow card for the Cork goalkeeper. And now, not for the first time in his Kerry career, all eyes fall onto the very narrow shoulders of Colm Cooper. Cooper against Quirk, and he's missed it. Well, it just hasn't been his day so far, and he'll have to wait just a little bit longer for his 12th championship goal for Kerry. Very poor penalty, Paul.
Yeah, very, very poor penalty. He was, I suppose, sluggish in his run up to the kick, and just came over the ball and caught it, and it just dribbled wide. A very, very poorly hit penalty, again, for a player of Colm Cooper's calibre.
Well, he certainly has looked out of sorts in this first half, but there's a long way to go in this game, and an awful lot could happen before it's all over. Well, that's the cue for Cork to bring in the familiar figure of Noel O'Leary, player who's been replaced, Ger Spillane, who was the player who fouled Darren O'Sullivan just a moment ago for the penalty. And Noel O'Leary is in to put the shackles on Paul Galvin.
Yes, and I think Conor Coon is probably concerned as well, because Ger Spillane had a yellow card, and Paul Galvin has got a lot of possessions early on in the game, so I think it's a smart move.
3 minutes to go in the first half, and Cork get things moving. O'Connor looking for Cussin. Plenty of Kerry men there, but between them they just about managed to get it away, but momentarily, because Donegal O'Connor has got it back again. Assistance coming from Pearse O'Neill, Michael Cussin, and now Patrick Kelly. Two men in the middle. Instead he goes back to Alan O'Connor. There's the Gary Owen, broken away by big Micheál Quirk, but again Cork come back for more. Goulding, tug on the jersey. Pádraig Reedy, just the temptation there proving too much. The little tug, again well spotted by Maurice Deegan. And these Cork forwards, they really do love to take on their men, to turn them, and it's causing Kerry some problems in this first half.
Yes, and really in the last 10 minutes both sets of players have got some advantage from running hard at the opposition defenders. They're sucking in some fouls. We saw Darren O'Sullivan do it a few moments ago. We saw Donegal O'Connor got a free in the first couple of minutes as well, and Daniel Goulding again. So I think the secret, or the messages that will be coming out from the coaches, I think, is keep running hard at the defences, respective defences, and draw in some of those fouls, and both sides have strong free takers who should be able to punish those indiscretions.
Jenica O'Connor from a difficult angle maintains his 100% record. 2 from 2. Cork lead by that clear goal again. And of course, all during the week they were talking about the importance of not falling behind. That famous 8-point deficit against Kerry became a feature of last season's championship. Not today. Today it's Kerry's turn to try and keep up with them. Good take by Kennelly to O'Shea, the apprentice to the master, but the pass is poor. And again the Cork half-forward line dropping back to help. Here's John Miskela. Looking for Goulding, but delayed the pass just a fraction too long, and that allowed Pádraig Reedy to steal in and make life difficult. He's protesting, but that should be a Kerry line ball.
And I think he's right. It certainly came off a Cork player, no doubt about that.
Miskela using his international rules experience there to flick that ball back to Donegal O'Connor. Cussin moving in underneath it, and a couple of the Kerry backs making life difficult for him. And away goes Darragh O'Shea. We're into stoppage time at the end of this first half. We'll have at least 2 minutes as Michael Shields, again, that uncompromising style. Here's Miskela. Cork moving forward in that crab-like fashion, inch by inch. Miskela again. Shields is just jogging alongside, and in the end Noel O'Leary took too much out of that ball, and it was all very slow and laboured putt.
Yeah, and what's noticeable is that the quality of kicking has been very poor and very inaccurate in this game. The ball has been in play only over 14 minutes in this game, which is very disappointing, and both sides are holding the ball up a little bit too much around the middle of the field.
Kennelly lets the ball do the work and finds Declan O'Sullivan trying to get onto that favoured left foot. Canty forcing him out, and now Michael Shields doubling up on him. O'Sullivan has to use it or lose it, and he's lost it. And away go Cork. Foul on Alan O'Connor. Well, again, Cork's defensive line holding firm.
Yeah, and as Cork are building up here from defence, Paul Galvin has dropped in front of the Cork full forward line. So the slow build-up is allowing both sides to get extra players in front of the defence, and that's preventing them from kicking the ball in. They continue to recycle and to pass across the middle again. So a lot of poor quality play in the last 5 or 6 minutes in particular.
Ty Kennelly from the Listowel Emmets club doing his defensive job well, playing a 1-2 with Darragh O'Shea. Don't think Ty Kennelly wanted that ball back again, was just trying to catch his breath. And Darragh O'Shea making life uncomfortable for Tom O'Sullivan, but Kerry get away with it, and O'Sullivan heads for open green country, and Maurice Deegan, the referee, says enough is enough. Well, it's been some first half. A goal at one end for Pearse O'Neill, a missed penalty at the other for Colm Cooper, but this game is far from over. Half-time score in the Munster semi-final: Cork 1-5, Kerry 5 points.
So Kerry started the game without Kieran Donaghy. They lost Tommy Walsh and then Pearse O'Neill's goal. The difference between the teams: Cork not used to being in front against Kerry at half-time. We had a full analysis after this.
With the right people.
A higher pace, higher tempo game in this second half, particularly from Kerry.
So Kerry will be playing into the town goal here in Killarney in the second half, looking for a good start. Declan O'Sullivan gets on the ball straight away. Now Tommy Griffin once more driving through the tackles. He knows only one way through. Well, that's his first wide, Kerry's fourth of the match. And they've just been out of sorts, Kerry, in this game for long spells. Certainly not playing the kind of fluid, cohesive football that saw them sweep through Division 1 of the National Football League unbeaten. And if Cork do end up winning this match, it will be the first time they've won here in Killarney for 14 years. Back then, of course, the tourists around this part of the world were still spending pounds and pence. Fine take over there on the far side. Grabbed in tightly by Nicholas Murphy, and he was not letting go. Now Pearse O'Neill. He's been directing operations at centre forward for Cork. Well, he was stopped initially by Aidan O'Mahony, and then he was put barrelling backwards by him as well.
Yeah, I think Maurice Deegan took the view that he tried to play for the foul on that occasion and gave the free against him. Hard to win a free in these very tight local derbies.
Now Cooper living on scraps in the absence of a big target man. Declan O'Sullivan again trying to sell the dummy with his eyes inside to Cooper. Trying to turn provider to Donncha Walsh. Had to go backwards to gather it. Does really well to get a shot away, and he's earned himself a 45. Well, there was real danger for just a moment, but Cooper decided not to go it alone, and Donncha Walsh yet again doing all he can to get things moving in there near the goal.
Yeah, and maybe a bit of poor decision making there by Donncha. There was a player coming off his shoulder there. He was under pressure, off balance, standing still when he was kicking the ball, and marked by 2 or 3 players. So good vision by Gooch to pop it over to him. Perhaps the ball was a little bit laborious coming across. Gooch didn't kick it with as much pace. It was rolling along the ground, so it allowed the defenders to get back goal side of Donncha Walsh. So here's a big 45 for Darren O'Sullivan.
And the Kerry captain kicks it wide and well wide. It pretty much sums up Kerry's day. In the absence of Brian Sheehan, who's sitting among the Kerry substitutes, Darren O'Sullivan handed the responsibility there and never really looked comfortable.
No, there's been a lot of talk in the run-up to this game about Kerry's lack of a kind of a long-distance free taker. Traditionally, they've had Brian Sheehan. They have David Moran on the bench, who's a recognised free taker as well, and they're relying on Gooch, you know, whose range is probably somewhere inside the 30-metre line. So there's a chance gone a begging for another chance gone a begging for Kerry.
Again, the big men rising together. It's almost like a collection of second-row forwards out there. So many big, powerful men. As Noel O'Leary takes a fairly unusual free, but Cork hold possession. Nicholas Murphy from Carrigaline, all the time in the world to make some ground and get a hit in on Aidan O'Mahony for good measure. The ball was poor though at the end of all of that. And now Paul Galvin trying to bring some pace to the move. Declan O'Sullivan scanning the horizon, looking for the long ball. Has to settle for a more conservative pass to Darren O'Sullivan. Once again surrounded by Corkmen. Soloed back into the heavy traffic, and I think Maurice Deegan is going to hop the ball, but again very little pace and movement inside for Declan O'Sullivan to hit, and very laborious.
Yes, and it started off unfortunately in the same way as the first half ended. An example, Nicholas Murphy had the ball there previously, you know, carried it down the wing, soloed 3 or 4 times, allowed Kerry defenders to drop back and kicked it straight to his marker, Micheál Quirk, who was sitting in front of the 21-metre line, or the 20-metre line. So the Cork forwards are making lots of runs inside, but the midfielders are not just hitting them quick enough. They continue to want to, you know, solo the ball and hold on to that ball, and of course that allows Kerry to drop players back in front. And both sides are adopting the same tactics so far in this game.
Well, Darren O'Sullivan just seemed to be caught there by a stray knee of Michael Shields, and that will mean Kerry are making a blood substitution. That is Brian Sheehan from the St Mary's Club in Cahersiveen, and Darren O'Sullivan forced to leave the field. And pretty much anything that could go wrong for Kerry today has gone wrong.
Yeah, the interesting thing as well is that Gooch, you know, has always been the foil. The last couple of years he's played off the big man at full forward. Now he's the key target man, so has to play that role inside somewhat differently.
And has to play second fiddle there to John Miskela, who just sprung into the air. Now Michael Shields driving out purposefully with this ball. Brian Sheehan, the fresh legs of the Kerry substitute, trying to stay with him. Now Kerrigan, who's no slouch either. All very neat and tidy from Cork. Movement inside for Kerrigan. Looking for O'Connor. Good hands from the corner forward. The man, of course, who lives just inside the Cork border in Ballydesmond. This is Goulding trying to hold off Reedy. very difficult angle. What a score from Daniel Goulding. Well, he's capable of the spectacular. That's his second point of the match. And Cork lead by 4.
Yes, but to be fair, that was made by Donnacha O'Connor. A great catch under severe pressure from Mark O'Shea, and laid it off to Daniel Goulding, and wonderful point with his left foot from the wrong side. And these guys, if they get enough ball inside, they certainly do damage. But a great catch under severe pressure in the contest by Donnacha O'Connor to set that one up.
Claimed by Dara O'Shea. And now Paul Galvin again, though, closed down very quickly. Dara O'Shea again, looking for Cooper. Instead, Sheehan there to make the initial run. Michael Shields standing his ground. So too Kieran O'Connor and Graham Canty, and between the three of them, they've won a free. Cork have been working hard on the training ground in anticipation of this game, and they look primed and ready as Kerrigan, son of Jimmy, the Cork defender of the 70s and 80s, sets this attack in motion. Miskela looking for the free. Play on, says the referee. This is Patrick Kelly. The angle was tight. Donnacha O'Connor trying to keep it in play. Watched all the while by Mark O'Shea. Plenty of time for Kerry to get back into this match, but the scores have dried up. Now Paul Galvin, neat little 1-2 with O'Sullivan, plenty of space in front of him. O'Sullivan carrying, nobody coming out to tackle. He's going to shoot low. Never troubled Anthony Lynch, but the referee has blown his whistle. He feels there was a nudge, a push in the back of Declan O'Sullivan just as he squeezed the trigger. That's why the shot lacked any real conviction. Kerry have a free.
Yes, and you just sense that Declan O'Sullivan is getting on the ball a lot, but he just appears to be lacking a small bit of confidence. But as he was about to kick that ball, tackled from the side, and certainly a justifiable free. But that came again from Cork. Had a great chance. It was Paddy Kelly on the right hand side, didn't kick the ball dead. Mark O'Shea won it and counter-attacked, and this gives Kerry an easy chance. So a 2-point turnaround here.
Brian Sheehan makes no mistake from point blank range. The foul by Kieran O'Connor, and it looks like that will be Brian Sheehan's last contribution to this game for the moment. Looking towards the sideline, Darren O'Sullivan patched up and about to come back in again.
It's interesting. I can't understand. Cork have Michael Cusson at full forward, 6'8", I think. You know, has a huge height advantage on Tom O'Sullivan. Got great benefit out of playing there last year. Won the Munster final practically on his own, and Cork haven't kicked a high ball into him yet.
Now Alan O'Connor, his turn to gallop down the centre. Nobody manning that post. Kelly for Cusson, wide, but he's collided with the goal post and looks to have injured himself in an effort to make that pass from Patrick Kelly. It looked to have goal written all over it for just the briefest of moments. Cusson, despite being 6'7" tall, just couldn't reach the pass.
Couldn't reach it, but I'm not sure if it was a pass. I think it might have been an attempt for a score. If it was a pass, it was the wrong option, I'd have to say, Mike. I think Paddy Kelly should have fisted that ball over the bar. It was a relatively easy chance, and I think executed the fist pass poorly.
Well, about 25 minutes to go, and Cork have just brought in Noel O'Donovan from Bishopstown to replace John Miskela. And here is O'Donovan, confident first touch as the first raindrops of the day begin to fall here at Fitzgerald Stadium in Killarney, and everybody, it seems, scrambling for rain jackets and some sort of shelter. Noel O'Leary, that familiar Hunt style, puts his head down and drives on. Nobody at home again for Kerry. O'Leary takes his score in real style. Well, he's an old-fashioned wing-back, and when he gets that ball, he knows only one way to the goal.
And again, it was Anthony Lynch, that great servant of Cork football, great cornerback, who gave the pass to Noel O'Leary. But again, there was a wonderful, while he scored a lovely point, there was a great opportunity for a goal, because Pearse O'Neill had just drifted off his man inside him, and with the form that he's in, with his goal in the first half, a goal and a point, there was a clear opportunity for a goal there. But Cork will be happy with the point at this stage, I'm sure.
Well, great gaping holes beginning to appear at the heart of the Kerry defence. And Cork now lead by 4 again. Ty Kennelly to Sheehan. Hasn't gone off just yet. Darren O'Sullivan waiting impatiently, I'm sure, to come back on. Darragh O'Shea looking for the spectacular score. Well wide. Well, there hasn't been much for the Kerry supporters to smile about this afternoon, between injuries and that missed penalty.
Yes, that was a very poor miss by Darragh O'Shea, but again, it's kind of endemic in the Kerry team at the moment. It's a kind of an indecision, a lack of decisiveness. Players looking to offload the ball, to pass it to somebody else, not taking as much responsibility as you expect from this great Kerry team.
Well, a little bit of housekeeping for you. A crowd here confirmed of 32,204 people. They've watched Kerry shoot 8 wides, score just 6 times, and struggle to find any kind of rhythm in this, their first championship outing of the new season. Again, plenty of time for Alan O'Connor to pick out the pass. Good take by Goulding, but under pressure from Reedy, he dropped that ball. Mark O'Shea led the break and has won the free as well. Well, Mark O'Shea, on the evidence of this game, is still very much at the peak of his powers. Now Ty Kennelly. Again, that little look up. Man who spent 10 years playing Australian rules football with the Sydney Swans. Flicked away by the former Carlton recruit Michael Shields. And now Alan O'Connor. The sun has broken through the clouds again. The briefest of rain showers has disappeared. Patrick Kelly looking for Goulding. Goulding does well. Returns the favour to Kelly. The crowd urge him to drive on. Kelly, he's in on goal. Finger-tipped. Or was it? It looked like Murphy had got the briefest of touches. The umpire has flagged it wide. That really should have been a second Cork goal.
Oh, absolutely, that was a wonderful chance from Paddy Kelly, but again, Paddy has had a couple of misses early on, or in the last 5 or 6 minutes. Maybe his confidence wasn't as high as it should have been. 1-on-1 with the keeper, great opportunity to perhaps put the game away from Kerry, and a bad miss.
The big Diarmuid Murphy, 6'3" and 14.5 stone. He made the angle a little difficult for Kelly, but the wing forward will be disappointed with the finish. Fine take by Nicholas Murphy, who's coming more and more into this match. Cusson, the intended target, didn't get there. Murphy continued the run. Maurice Deegan lets the game continue, and now Tomás O'Shea. He's had a quiet game. He's been caught by Pearse O'Neill. O'Shea, to his credit, hopped back up again very quickly. But no doubt about it that Pearse O'Neill made contact, and significant contact there.
Yes, no doubt about that, and he's probably going to he's got a yellow card for that. He was certainly going to put the shoulder in when he was going to catch him on his chest or on his shoulder, happened to catch him on his chest, but fair play to Tomás O'Shea. He got up straight away and wanted to continue with the game.
Well, David Moran has just come into the game for Kerry. Micheál Quirke has been replaced after a little under 50 minutes as Jack O'Connor tries to shake things up. His team 4 points behind. Here's Cooper. Where has he been? Trying to take on Lynch. It all got very tight though, and that allowed Cork to reorganise themselves and break up this latest Kerry attack. Here's Paul Kerrigan. Very tight triangle. Patrick Kelly now, and Noel O'Donovan, the next link in the line. Kerry players funneling back into their own half to try and block up the channels as Alan O'Connor loses his footing, and that move lost all its momentum as well. And away go Kerry to try and hit Cork on the break. Darren O'Sullivan round the corner from Cooper. He's lost Anthony Lynch. Cooper, one quick look at the goal post. The umpires like the look of it. Normal service has been resumed. 3 points between the teams, and Kerry hanging on for dear life.
Hanging on, and a good point from Gooch. He lost his marker there. Anthony Lynch, and kicked a good point. But and I was just about to say before that the Kerry full forward line really looked devoid of ideas at this stage, and Cork's defence, their anticipation and their perception and the way they're dispossessing the Kerry forwards is admirable, I must say, and without giving away any easy frees as well. So a top class display so far from the Kerry full back line. But in the Kerry full forward, or for the Cork full back, in the Kerry full forward line this stage you have Brian Sheehan and you have Gooch inside. So that's an unusual pairing in the full forward line, and one that the Kerry players out the field will not have been used to playing with over the last couple of years.
So a little under 20 minutes to go then. That's just Kerry's second score from play in 24 minutes of this match. As this latest piece of aerial combat ends in a free to Cork. Once more Paul Galvin was at the bottom of that ruck as Pearse O'Neill weighs up his options and brings Kieran O'Connor into the game, trying to leave Ty Kennelly in his wake, but Kennelly sticking to his task, and Daniel Goulding in the end bundled over by Pádraig Reedy. Well, they may have been playing Division 2 football during the spring, Cork, but they have developed a game plan and a style that suits them. And while it may be very slow moving at times, they do tend to get the job done eventually, Paul.
Yeah, they do. It mightn't be the prettiest to watch, but to be fair to the Cork full forward line, they're making lots of runs, and you feel sorry for them on occasions, because when they make the runs and they don't get the ball, you know, they've got to redouble their efforts and go back again and make different angled runs, and they've been doing that all day, and the last 10 minutes they've had some success.
Well, Donegal O'Connor has been kept on a tight leash by Mark O'Shea from open play, but that's his third point from a free in this match. It brings his tally in the championship to 1 goal and 8 points, and he is certainly paying his way from the place ball so far.
No doubt about it, and it's hugely valuable to have two players who can kick, one from the right side, one from the left side. Hugely important for any team that really has serious ambitions to win an All-Ireland title.
Good possession won by Kennelly. Once again, Darragh O'Shea is there to give him an outlet, and Nicholas Murphy not prepared to give an inch. So Maurice Deegan gives Kerry some extra yardage in over the top for Cooper. Lynch is always there, snapping at his heels, forcing him out towards the corner flag. Cooper needs to recycle this ball. He's picked out Declan O'Sullivan. Man running across him is David Moran. This is Tommy Griffin. Runs into a wall of red jerseys. We're waiting for a whistle, and when it arrives, it's a free to Cork for over-carrying. That could surely have gone either way.
Oh, well, I think so. Certainly from here it looked like there were hands over his shoulder, a couple of different pairs of hands over his shoulder, and I think that was a harsh decision against Tommy Griffin. But again, the Kerry forwards are passing the ball to players who have been heavily and tightly marked, and taking the wrong decisions on lots of occasions. But you know, credit to Cork as well, they're getting loads and loads of players behind the ball in front of that area, in front of goal, so they're preventing Kerry from getting any space in the vital area, shooting area.
Donegal O'Connor now trying to take on Mark O'Shea. He can kick off both feet, equally comfortable with the left and the right. Snatched at that shot though. He was trying to keep Mark O'Shea guessing there, Donegal O'Connor, making his run right across the field. But overall, Conor Coonahan much happier than that man, Jack O'Connor.
Absolutely, and I wonder if Jack is thinking about making a couple of substitutions at this stage, because they really don't have as much pace in the team as certainly he would like, and I think have less pace than Cork have at this stage. So perhaps Owen Brosnan on the bench, or a Killian Young or a Sean O'Sullivan to come in might make a difference.
Canty leading by example. He's picked out O'Neill. Another barnstorming run, and the typical high standard finish. Well, when he's in full flight, he really is a sight to behold, and it all came from quick thinking from Graham Canty. Not a bad pass either, and there was just no stopping Pearse O'Neill. That's a goal and 2 points for the centre forward from play.
Yes, and Aidan O'Mahony had lost him. He was on his own, left to David Moran to chase him down, but he's very, very difficult to stop. A player of that size and pace and footballing ability when he runs through the middle, and has had great success today. Scored 1-2 from play from centre half forward so far.
So the gap has now grown to 5 points, and Cork, the 2-1 outsiders, remember, to win this match, firmly in the driving seat with a little under a quarter of an hour to go. Paul Kerrigan once again playing smart, well, maybe too smart, took too many steps. And again, Maurice Deegan, who's had a fine game, right up with the play.
Yes, and Kerry need to get a score pretty quickly, or else the game will run away from them. They're 5 points behind at this stage. Michael Shields in full back, marking Brian Sheehan, having a wonderful game, out in front to most of the balls, the way a good full back should play, and he's having a lot of success, particularly in the second half, since Tommy Walsh went off halfway through the first half.
Well, it's been a long time since Colm Cooper has been held to just 1 point from play in championship football in almost an hour, as Brian Sheehan drops in this free, flicked away by Canty. He seems to be everywhere. Patrick Kelly and Darren O'Sullivan racing for that ball. Line ball to Kerry. Here's Paul Galvin trying to get his shot away on the turn, but again it's wild. That shake of the head, I think, tells its own story.
Yes,
They'll be the favourites to win the All-Ireland this year, Paul, but on the evidence of what we've seen so far, they have a lot of work to do before we see them in full flight.
A lot of work to do, and the problem of the loss of Kieran Donaghy and the subsequent loss then halfway through the first half of Tommy Walsh has changed their game plan completely. For the last 4 or 5 years they've been able to hit high ball in, know that they're going to be successful, so now they have a small full forward line, not the paciest, and Cork are able to handle them at this stage. So out the field, I think it may require some Kerry players to make some hard runs through the middle and create some scoring opportunities that way, because the long ball inside is certainly not working for them at this stage.
Well, Kerry have just bolstered their full forward line. They've just brought in Barry John Walsh from Cairns O'Rahilly's, played minor football with Kerry last year, younger brother of Tommy, and by all accounts he has been flying in training in recent weeks. So he's gone in there to try and give a little bit of support to Colm Cooper and Declan O'Sullivan. This is Brian Sheehan. Tricky kick. He struck it really well. That's Brian Sheehan's second point from frees in this second half. Keeps the scoreboard ticking over, and it's back to a 4-point game again.
Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing Barry John Walsh play, because he was tremendous a couple of years ago as a minor. I think he kicked 10 points from play at Croke Park in an All-Ireland minor. It was a semi-final, and highly skillful player. I believe he's performing very well in training, but it's a big challenge for him today to go up against one of the best full-back lines in the country.
Here's Tomás O'Shea to Ty Kennelly. O'Shea has continued the run. Everybody pulling out of the middle. Kennelly goes for the spectacular score, and he has got it. Well, just when Kerry needed something to lift the spirits, Ty Kennelly, the man making his championship debut at 27 years of age, has left us with a 3-point game, and that was worth waiting for.
Absolutely, but again it was made by a searing run up the middle from Tomás O'Shea, one of the greatest footballers of this generation. He's done it so many times over the years. He's done it again today. When Kerry need a big player, a big leader to come to the fore, they look no further than Tomás O'Shea. A wonderful run up and a great layoff to Ty Kennelly, and that'll boost his confidence.
Well, Ty Kennelly, of course, with so much big game experience in Australia with the Sydney Swans, played in a grand final, won a grand final, and now in the thick of things here in Killarney. And of course, such a tradition and a history of comebacks in this fixture. As recently as last summer, we were treated to 3 tremendous games of championship football between these two teams. Maybe history about to repeat itself in these final 10 minutes. Well, Paul Galvin again in the thick of things there. Remember, he's on a yellow card as Cork win a free, and Daniel Goulding comes out to kick it. Very little movement inside. Goulding is going to go for the score. He struck it really well. And again, so near and yet so far. It just faded away at the last moment. Paul, 9 minutes to go and set up now for the grandstand finish we all wanted.
Yes, and Kerry now playing with Gooch and Barry John Walsh in the full forward line. A two-man full forward line. Brian Sheehan dropping out and halfway between there and the centre half forward line, playing that little triangle formation that they've played all over the last number of years. But I think for Kerry to succeed, they're going to have to make those hard runs through the middle.
Touched on the ground by David Moran. Cork have just brought in Brian O'Regan to replace Kieran O'Connor as Conor Coonahan brings some fresh legs into his defence. At the other end, Daniel Goulding, a little bit surprised maybe to get that pass, robbed by Pádraig Reedy, and who else but Paul Galvin there to lift the siege. Now O'Sullivan, Brian Sheehan and Noel O'Donovan racing towards the far touchline. Barry John Welch makes a run. Colm Cooper in there around the penalty spot. Here's the first touch for Barry John. Keeps it simple. Back to Sheehan. Winds up for the big kick. He's caught it well. It's on its way. Brian Sheehan. Another inspirational score. And the Kerry revival is well underway. 3 points in a row. They're back in this game.
Yeah, a wonderful point for Brian Sheehan. He worked really hard to win the ball from the long ball in from Declan O'Sullivan, first of all over on the sideline, to give it to Barry John Walsh, who was very comfortable on the ball, you know, soloed little dummy, and then gave the ball out to Sheehan, who had looped around him and kicked it over the bar. A great point on his favourite right foot.
Well, Brian Sheehan was Kerry's second highest scorer in the championship last year, and he's hit 3 points in this second half. Cork are warming up Colm O'Neill. We're watching Declan O'Sullivan. The tide starting to turn. This is David Moran, son of Ogie. And in a very, very tight corner. And he's won a free. Well, Graham Canty and Alan O'Connor, the picture of disbelief there. They can't believe it. But the statistics, I suppose, Paul, on this occasion don't lie.
Certainly not, no. A lot of the ball, a lot of the game been played in the Cork half at this stage, certainly in the last number of minutes, but that was a stupid free to give away by the Cork defenders. Again, once the hands are up over the shoulders, once you touch a player over the shoulder, the referee is usually going to give a free against you, and in an eminently scoreable position for Brian Sheehan, who has kicked the last 2 points for Kerry and is on form.
And he's just left us with a 1 point game. 6 minutes to go. It's all set up now. Kerry have hit 4 points without reply. Cork have lost their way. And the finishing line within touching distance. Well, there's a confirmation of that change. Colm O'Neill is in for Cork. And from the Ballyclaw club near Mallow, in to replace Daniel Goulding. And how Cork would love to see him get on the ball, get a score, and settle things down again. Graham Canty trying to make sure with this free. Donnacha O'Connor does well, spots Nicholas Murphy. The pass has to be perfect. Murphy, this is a big moment. Wide on the right. That just might have been enough to check Kerry's momentum. Murphy couldn't finish. It remains a 1 point game. And Jack O'Connor is warming up Sean Sullivan on the far side as well. It's all hands to the pump now, Paul.
Yeah, that was a very, very poor miss from Nicholas Murphy. Under no pressure, had got inside Dara O'Shea. Dara got a hand on the pass, but it just directed it more into Nicholas Murphy's hands, and he should have put that over the bar. Very poor miss at this vital stage of the game.
Diarmuid Murphy's kick out, claimed initially by Alan O'Connor, but under pressure, coughed up the ball, and that was good work by David Moran. Kerry now committing players to attack. Tomás O'Shea losing his footing. to his older brother Dara. Looking for the run of Cooper or Welch, cut out by Lynch. This is Canty. Remember, the prize on offer for the winners, a place in the Munster final on the 5th of July. To the losers, a place in the All-Ireland qualifiers. And of course, don't forget that Munster final, live and exclusive on TV3 on the first Sunday in July. Here's Cooper. Lynch bought the first one, not the second. Cooper continuing on his merry way, hanging on to that ball. Maurice Deegan gave him every possible chance, and Cooper makes it count. Well, pound for pound, he remains the best around, and he's left us level here in Killarney with 3 minutes to go. What a score.
Oh, what a sensational point. Under extraordinary pressure, two Cork defenders came over to mark him. He tried to go outside on his right foot, he tried to cut inside on his left. Anthony Lynch marked him very tightly, did very, very well. And really you could say he just threw a boot at it in the end, but he's such an exceptionally talented player that he knew what he was doing. An inspirational point from an inspirational player at a vital stage in the game.
Well, you could say Maurice Deegan gave him the benefit of the doubt. Kerry have hit the last 5 points in this match. They're back from the brink. O'Sullivan, Declan O'Sullivan. He's been penalised for throwing that ball. Well, in there in the engine room, it's no place for the faint-hearted.
And there's very little clean, for the last number of minutes, there's been very little clean ball caught around the middle of the field, but noticeably Kerry are winning a lot more of the breaks. It's almost as if they went 5 points behind Cork and said, we need to start playing, because it's really only in the last 7, 8, 10 minutes that they have really started to play the football that we know Kerry are capable of playing. But Cork as well need to lift their performance now, because the game is running away from them. And the man of the match.
Well, we'll be hearing Paul's selection for man of the match very, very soon. Meanwhile, Declan O'Sullivan is down and injured. So now everybody's had a chance to catch their breath as Canty gets us moving again. Kerry have rolled up their sleeves now. They've been in this position so many times before. They know how to pull games out of the fire, and they're doing just that. Darragh O'Shea, possession absolutely vital. David Moran, little dummy, another sidestep. Moran kicking for what could be the winner, wide on the right. Well, he did almost everything right in the approach. A shimmy here and a feint there. And he is as cool as a breeze, Paul.
Yes, but that was a wonderful opportunity again for David Moran to become a hero in Cork. He's come off the bench today. He's a very accurate player. He had plenty of time, plenty of space, and you'd expect him under normal circumstances to kick that one, but in the pressure of a Munster semi-final level with a couple of minutes to go, it's not a normal circumstance.
Well, Kerry make that change. They've just brought in Sean O'Sullivan from Croman. Tadhg Kennelly makes his way to the dugout. We'll have at least 2 minutes of additional time. Remember, these teams met 3 times in the championship last year. 1 win each and a draw. Will they be locked together when the dust settles here? We will know very shortly. A foul on Nicholas Murphy and a free to Cork. Well, it's been a slow-burning Munster Championship match, but it has really come to the boil in the last quarter. And now you just can't take your eye off it for a moment. Remember, Cork haven't won here in 14 years. It's been a fortress for Kerry in these matches. Will today be the day when the walls come tumbling down? Donncha O'Connor off balance. just trying to drive it in to the danger area. This is Paul Kerrigan. Alan O'Connor moving in. Darragh O'Shea as well. The last touch came off the knuckles of Darragh O'Shea. It'll be a 45. And with Daniel Goulding in the dugout, it looks like Colm O'Neill is coming out to kick it.
That's a big decision by the umpire. No, the Kerry full back line and the goalkeeper were questioning that decision. Yeah, it looks like it was it Declan O'Sullivan that knocked the ball away.
Well, that was a big decision. And what pressure for the Cork under-21 star Colm O'Neill. Came off the bench against Waterford a couple of weeks ago, but I'm sure it was nothing quite like this. We're almost 2 minutes into stoppage time. This would probably win the match. O'Neill has nailed it. Nerves of steel from the man from Ballyclaw, and he might just have stolen the headlines.
A wonderful kick. He's just come off the bench. Pressure kick into injury time and struck it magnificently. Not just over the crossbar, went straight over the black spot. 20 yards over the crossbar. Fantastic point.
Another big decision, a free to Kerry as Cork and Paul Kerrigan were about to start another attack. Paul Early, your selection for man of the match from this pulsating game.
Well, I think the main contenders were obviously Pierce O'Neill in the forward line. Tomas O'Shea had a great leadership role in the Kerry defence, attacked constantly. But I think in a day when defences by and large were on top, Cork full back line in particular was very strong, with Anthony Lynch and Michael Shields on top for most of the day, and for consistent performance for the full 70 minutes. Man of the match today is Michael Shields.
So the Cork full back is Paul Early's selection for man of the match, but he, like the rest of us now, watching with bated breath as Kerry have been awarded a free and extra yardage because Noel O'Leary would not retreat quick enough. That was a schoolboy error from a very experienced footballer. Yellow card also shown to Nicholas Murphy in that last passage of play. And now, can Brian Sheehan tie this game up and bring us right back to square one again? Kerry never doubted him, not for a moment. He's done it before, and he has done it again. Level in Killarney.
Yes, and you expected him to kick those pressure points, but what Cork players were thinking about and standing in front of the ball when he was 45 metres out, I cannot understand. They gave him a much easier kick. But a draw, probably on balance a fair result today.
5 points for Brian Sheehan, including that last pressure kick, mean that we finish all square here in Killarney. An incredible finish to this Munster Championship semi-final. And people, I think, looking around the terraces here, Paul, stunned looks of sheer disbelief on their faces. They did not see this coming.
Well, I think it was a strange game, and Cork were dominant for long periods, and when they went 5 points ahead, the old failing came back to haunt them. Can they put Kerry away? And in big games, and clearly they weren't able to do that, and Kerry lifted the performance. They did not play at all well today, Kerry, but they lifted the performance in that vital last 15 minutes of the game, won a lot of ball around the middle of the field, and to be fair, some of the key players took responsibility and got the scores which they were missing earlier on.
Well, there's confirmation of the full-time score. It's ended here. Kerry 13 points, Cork a goal and 10.
Yet again, we have a draw between Cork and Kerry in the Munster Championship. The teams are going to have to meet again. A draw here in Killarney. We'll have full analysis of the match after this. To have extraordinary problems, don't they, in getting this. We see the score coming up here. 13 points for Kerry, a goal and 10 for Cork. How did Cork let that go with a 5-point lead to their advantage?
Very disappointing. I think it was one stage they were 4 points up on Patrick O'Neill. This is maybe 10, 12 minutes into the second half. Patrick O'Neill straight through, goal at his mercy, and he blasted wide, which would have left him a 7-point lead in it.
Patrick
Kelly, sorry. And I don't think Kerry would have recovered if that had hit the net.
Okay, let's have a look at the stats coming up, and the stats show again Perhaps Kerry showed more of the hand passing than we expected, a different type of game after they lost Tommy Walsh in particular.
Yeah, they did. They stopped kicking long ball in, and I think the difference between the first and the second half, we can see from the stats there, Kerry started to kick the ball around the middle toward the pitch, but they started kicking scores from distance. We saw 2 monster scores there, one from Brian Shane and one from Ty Kennelly, and that was the difference between the two sides, and that possession around the middle toward the pitch, Kerry were using that possession a lot more economically in the second half.
Now, what about